So in the midst of working on quilting my trip quilt, I've realized Christmas is coming soon, and I have this panel with the little gnomes on it that we got at Missouri Star Quilt Company on our trip. It is something I wanted to get done and haven't. And so I thought this is the year I'm going to try to get a wall hanging done for our living room with it. And you can see some of the fabrics there that I'm contemplating using with it. Now, one of the things with panels is there's really not a lot of ideas. Everybody seems to say, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and seen a lot of blogs talking about panels. Everybody seems to say the manufacturers make them so that you can do all these wonderful creative things with them. But most people don't seem to do much creative with them. They just kind of take the panel, put a border around it, and call it a quilt, which is fine, but that's not going to work for the space I have. I want to do something different with this one. So I intend to cut this apart and put other blocks with it and see what I can come up with, and see if we can come up with a really cute Christmas quilt to hang up in my living room. Normally for Christmas I do blue and white or blue and silver. So this will be different, red and green. And I may have to make a new Christmas tree skirt too. But anyway, this is the start of yet another project. And I'll probably work on this in between working on quilting the trip quilt, because I do want this done and Christmas is coming fast. So I've cut them apart. I've put them on the design wall, and I think what I'm hoping to do here is, if you can see, I'm going to do the block 5440 Fight with the little gnomes in between them, and I'm going to have to put a border around the gnomes to make them the right size. I'm thinking about doing a green fabric, which of course I either have this cute holly, and I also have this green with the stars. Also, I'm contemplating as a background fabric, instead of just white, using this white with the little red hearts. It's kind of cute. The white one is actually a fabric that came from my mother-in-law's sewing room. It's quite old. She actually bought it for me, I think, in 1986 or 87, so, or sent it to me then. I've had it ever since, and I think it'd be cute to be in a Christmas quilt, and I think it'd be really nice to have something that was hers in this quilt. So we'll see. Anyway, this is the layout I'm thinking of so far. I'll have to do something top and bottom, or just top or just bottom, to make it long enough to match the longer, taller pieces there. Again, we'll play that by ear when we get there. So I've had some challenges trying to work on my quilt every day. First of all, I hurt my shoulder, so I had several days I couldn't work because it was too painful. And then today I started working, and at some point all of a sudden it seemed like my walking foot wasn't working quite right. So I went to take it off and it came apart. This little silver piece came out. I don't know where it came from. This had been sitting really wonky, and then it fell off, and I noticed this is loose. So, not sure what I'm going to do. So I looked up a Bernina specific walking foot for my machine online, and it's like $215, which is why this one that I have is kind of a generic version that I bought years ago. Don't remember where I got it, don't remember what I paid for it. I know it wasn't expensive, which is probably partly why I'm having problems. You can see it's plastic parts. This little piece here looks like that's starting to come apart. So anyway, I decided to take it apart because it's broken anyway, and I thought maybe I could figure out where this piece came from, and I think based on the icky stuff, looks like it goes right there. So I think I'm gonna clean this up and try putting it back together and see if it works, but I do think I'm gonna have to get another one. Probably gonna order another generic one though, if I can find it. Much as I'd love a specific one for my Bernina, I'm sure it would work better. I'm sure it'd be lovely, but It's a lot of money for a foot. Okay, got my pieces cleaned up and I'm starting to put it back together. I did take a picture before I took it apart, and I'm glad I did, to make sure. I originally had put one of the pieces in backwards. So now I'm going to try to stick it back together and see if it works. Now we'll find out. It's working! At least it seems to be. Okay, so let's... see if I can get this out here. I think it worked. Okay, I'm going to practice with this a little more before I actually try it on my piece, but so far it does seem to be working. Yay! Well, I spoke too soon. I thought I had it all fixed, and I went to stitch with the little, and I realized that it was sometimes working fine, and then it would suddenly, randomly, as far as I could tell, start stitching oddly, and it seemed like the foot wasn't sitting correctly. So tried taking it apart again, looking at it. My husband tried looking at it, and I think it's just worn out. I've had it a really long time, and it was cheap. So I need to replace it, which is fine, but that means I can't work on my quilt for a while. So I'm going to stop and work on a different project in the meantime while I'm waiting for a new foot to arrive. So I'll keep you posted. So while I'm waiting for the presser foot that I ordered to show up, I'm gonna work on the little gnomes. This is fabric that we got from Missouri Star Quilt on our trip. So it still counts as trip. Being a panel, one of the problems with panels is often they seem to be printed off grain. Now, all the research I've done says it's impossible for them to be printed off grain, that it's just a matter of the fabric getting stretched out of shape a little bit as it's being wound on the bolts. And so I found several different things on how to straighten them out, and that's what I've done here, and that's what I'm going to be working on. So you can see, if I follow the line of the design here, how far it's off up here in the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by putting the corners all together like I did on this one, and then matching up the edge of the design and pinning it. This one was actually, it looked quite wonky when I first did it. And then I didn't have time to work on it more, so I just pinned it up on my design board like this, and it is actually nearly gone flat and straight by itself without doing anything further, just hanging there. So I have all the pieces to do. If I want them to be done faster, I will apply heat. I may mist them first with water and then heat them so that it will help them stay like this. But it sounds like just hanging them will eventually get them back in shape, and this does seem to verify that. So I will either be hanging them or applying heat, but in the meantime, as you can see, I have some work to do. So here you can see I've started getting the edges pinned, and you can see how wonky it looks. This is how this one originally looked too. So I've got these edges matched up, and now I'm going to fold it in half, which feels like it's going to be very tricky. But I'm going to fold it up, and then we're going to match those edges as well. Crazy, huh? How weird it is. Now I have the corners all met, and it looks pretty wonky still. The thing that's crazy though is if you start putting your hand in here and kind of smoothing it out, it will all smooth down to perfectly flat. So at this point, if I was using it right this minute, I would spritz it with some water and then press it, and then that would give me a nice flat square piece. As it is, I'm still trying to put the others together. I can't really use one until I can use all of them, so I'm just going to put this back up with the other one and let it hang on my design wall as I finish the others, and then we'll see how soon I can work on them. And here's how we're doing on baby quilt. I have a friend who's just become a grandmother. Baby was born early, so quilt's not ready yet. So I'm trying to get the quilt done as quickly as possible. So that's a good project to do while I don't have my walking foot and can't do my quilting on my trip quilt. So this is fun putting this together. And there's the quilt top for the baby quilt, already put together. Now I just need to get it basted together, my quilt sandwich, and get it quilted. This one I'm going to do an all over design so I can use free motion quilting with it, so I don't need to wait for my walking foot. And I'm really happy how it turned out.